I would like to personally dedicate this video to anyone who has big goals, big dreams, something that they really want to grow and turn into a business, turn into their full-time gig, but are in a situation where a lot of their time is being taken up, whether that's a full-time job or school. When you're being hustled along a more traditional path, a lot of times your time isn't really your own, or at least it doesn't feel like it is. And I'm right there with you. I've been doing this YouTube thing for about a year now. I've wanted to be a freelance photographer since I was a sophomore in college. I've tried different money-making tactics. I've gone after different passions. Basically, I've been trying for years to follow a more non-traditional creative career path. So when we're in these sort of beginning stages of trying to build something, a lot of times we have to stay in the more traditional career path in the meantime, whether that's having a 9-to-5 or going to college or just basically doing the things that you need to do to keep yourself supported and safe. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right now, the main thing that I want to grow, my main side hustle, I guess you could say, is YouTube. It's doing this. This is what I'm really focused on growing right now, and it's what I'm going to be referring to throughout this video as my main example. All of these different habits and little tidbits of advice that I'm going to give you is things that I've learned trying to do YouTube while working full-time. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you all the advice, all the tips and strategies that you need to be able to balance it all. The systems that have been working for me, the tips that I've picked up so far, and basically how I've been able to not only maintain the amount of YouTube work that I was doing before getting a full-time job, but actually double it. I am now creating double the amount of videos that I was when I had no major job taking up all of my time. So I think I've picked up a thing or two about time management, and I'm gonna give you all of that knowledge in this video. I am parched, okay? Talking for this long is no joke. The first piece of advice that I have is not super tangible. It's not just a productivity tip. It's more about mindset, but I think that the mindset component is still so important when it comes to productivity, achieving your dreams, all of that. And I think it's often neglected. So let's talk a little bit about mindset. Something that I think is absolutely essential if you want to be able to balance a lot of time-intensive elements in your life is that you just make the mindset shift that you do have enough time for the things that you want to do. It's pretty much a universal struggle that a lot of us feel like we just don't have enough time. No matter how much of our schedule is freed up, we have this sense that there's never enough hours in the day for the things that we want to or have to do. And honestly, it's just the number one catch-all excuse that people use for explaining why they aren't going after things that they want to do. If you ask somebody why they're not pursuing something they're interested in or why they have stopped going to ice skating events when that's something that they used to really love, the number one answer that you're going to hear is, I just don't have enough time. And can I just say that for the most part, I honestly really think that that's a whole lot of BS. And even though I struggle with this feeling of just not having enough hours for everything I want to do, you will never catch me saying anything like, I can't do that, I don't have time, because I know that that's a bunch of shit. I know that I have time for whatever I choose to prioritize. This doesn't mean that you have time to do everything, right? So because I've decided that I want to focus on YouTube right now, and I'm taking a bit of a break from other aspects of my life like photography, or I'm not socializing as much as I once was because I've decided to focus on YouTube for the time being, that means that I might not be putting time towards those other things, but I know that I do have the time to pursue those things again if I chose to, right? It all comes down to what you're prioritizing in your life. There's this hugely popular quote, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And that is exactly what I'm talking about here. Whatever it is that you choose to prioritize, you do have the time for it. I also think that if you look into the day-to-day, if you're saying that you don't have time to chase a passion or a dream or do a really meaningful activity to you, but you're spending 3 hours every single day watching TV, if you're going out 2 nights every single weekend, but you're saying, oh, I never had the time to work on my side hustle, there's your problem, you know? You have that time, but you're currently choosing to prioritize going out or watching TV over working on your passion. And I get it. It can be really, really difficult to motivate yourself to keep basically working after you've worked for 40 grueling hours in the week. And I totally understand that a lot of times you just feel like letting go and not doing anything productive during your off time. But if you stay in that cycle of going to your job and then just relaxing in all of your free time, you're not really going to be able to move yourself forward, and you're not going to make any progress towards those dreams and goals. Sort of going off of that point of you need to reprioritize your time if you want to make any progress, I think it's important to be willing to make sacrifices. Unfortunately, it's just a fact that if you're going to be putting a significant amount of time towards a goal or a pursuit, you're going to have to let some other things fall. You're going to have to give up certain activities that are currently taking up time in your week. You can't add something without subtracting something else out. And that's just unfortunately the fact of having a limited number of hours. So I think that the most important thing here is that if you can, try to cut out lower value activities, basically your time wasters, your in-between time, your time spent scrolling on your phone on the toilet, and not the more meaningful activities. So if you can, again, cut out your social media scrolling or your time that you spend watching Netflix in your bedroom, not the time that you spend hanging out with your family or your weekly sushi date with your significant other. Like, those are important elements of your life that you do not want to sacrifice. Instead, search for the time wasting parts of your day, because I guarantee you, if you are an average person, you're wasting a whole lot of time on your phone, you're wasting a whole lot of time on Netflix, and that's not really adding anything to your life. You're not going to lose much by replacing that time with working towards a side hustle that could change your life. Okay. I warmed up some pizza because I'm actually starving, so I'm just gonna eat that real quick before we continue. Filming takes a toll on your body, bro. No one's talking about that, but like, making a YouTube video is intense on the bodily functions. Now, I know that I've been really nailing into your head, like, hey, if you want to make this work, you're going to have to make sacrifices, you're going to have to work really hard. And so I just want to take a step back for a moment before we go too far into like really intense, toxic hustle culture mentality, and say that I think it's important that you be conscious of when you really need to rest and when you can hustle. I think that it's important to distinguish between the times where you genuinely are exhausted and just need to reset and recharge versus the times where you can push through and work towards your dreams and goals. In order to tell when you really need rest versus when you can push through, you really just need to become more in touch with yourself and your own needs. And this is something that improves with practice, and something that I'm really working on now is just being able to live more intuitively and know what I need in a specific moment. Because sometimes the best thing is to sit down on the couch and watch a mindless TV show after a long day. Sometimes you need that for your mental well-being, but if that is your automatic cure-all every single time you're slightly tired coming home from work, you're not gonna get anywhere. It's all about balance. You still need to have some sense of discipline. Sometimes you'll be super motivated and excited. Sometimes you'll get off work and be like, God, I can't wait to edit this thumbnail right now. I'm so fucking excited to work on this. And other days you're just not gonna feel that way. Other days you might be like, dang, like I really don't feel like working on this right now. I kind of want to just like go relax, but you have to show up regardless. You can't rely on that constant excitement and motivation. And I think that finding that perfect balance between discipline and self-compassion is where you can really get to a point where you are being productive and you're moving towards your goals and your dreams without sacrificing your well-being, your mental health, your genuine physical and mental need for rest. Because mindless activities can be a godsend when you're overworked. And I honestly am the first to say, like, I love watching NCIS right now. That is my comfort every single night. But that is my comfort every single night after I've worked towards my bigger goals and ambitions, and when I feel fully satisfied that I work towards something bigger for myself. So now that we've talked all about mindset, being dedicated, being willing to put in the time and make the sacrifices that you need to balance a full-time job and a side hustle, let's talk a little bit more about very specific practical tips that you can use to just sort of make it easier for you to take advantage of the time that you do have in the most efficient way possible. Let me finish this pizza though. So let's talk about some of the strategies that you can use to make the most of your time when you don't have very much of it. So first, I want you to find all of the extra chunks of time that you have throughout your week and take advantage of them. And this is going to vastly vary from person to person, what your schedule looks like, what times of day you feel most productive, what days of the week you want to focus on your side hustle. So maybe it's your lunch break that you have free that you could take advantage of. Maybe it's the 2 hours after you get home from work before the rest of your family gets home. Maybe it's in between social events on the weekends, Maybe your Saturday is all booked up because you plan to go to brunch and then you're going to go bowling with your friends. But you have a 2-hour chunk in between those social events. Use that time to work towards your side hustle. Or if you're a super early riser, maybe you have an hour or two before you get to work where you can focus on your side hustle. It can be any of these things and any combination of these things, and it really is personal. So maybe what works for you is allowing the weekdays to really just be about focusing on your job and focusing on your health, and then your weekends is going to be your time to work on your side hustle. Or maybe you want to preserve your Saturdays for socializing and for other parts of your life, but Sunday you don't really care about, and that's gonna be your day to work on YouTube or your business. I also encourage you to look for maybe the bits of time that you're not thinking of when you look at your free time. So obviously everyone knows that we have the weekends free. We can choose what we do with our weekends, but not many people are looking at the hour before work, the couple hours after work, their lunch break as possible times for them to get things done. And that might not be when you get your deep work, really intense tasks done, because, obviously you don't have the time or the mental capacity to be doing the biggest parts of your business in 2 hours after work, right? Maybe it's just the smaller, more admin or simpler tasks that you can work on. Maybe it's just something that you can easily chip away at that you're reserving for weekday nights. To break this into a more concrete example, when we look at myself and how I handle my YouTube work, I film on the weekends. I like to have a day to film because obviously I need to get ready. I need to choose what I'm wearing. Filming will take anywhere from half an hour to the whole day if I'm filming a vlog style video and I want to get clips as I'm doing things. So generally I will reserve filming for the weekend. That's like the most exhausting part of YouTube for me because it really requires me to be like turned on. Like I need to be the best version of myself when I show up to film because that's what I want to present on my channel. When you look at something like editing can be done on my couch in a sweatshirt. Editing can be done in small 30-minute chunks throughout my week. Yes, it's a lot of work. It's many, many hours of editing, but that is something that's easier for me to fit into tiny gaps of time. So keeping that in mind, I can build a schedule around, okay, maybe Saturday is my filming day this week, and I'm gonna edit the videos a little bit on Sunday and then pick up any editing throughout the week. That's a structure that works for me, that's taking advantage of the time that I do have, and that's keeping in mind how I like to work, what style of work I have to do for different tasks. It all depends on what type of tasks you need to do. Do you just need your laptop? Can you work on it from anywhere? Can you work on it from a coffee shop? Or do you need to be home in front of a desktop? All of these things are very important factors when you're planning the schedule, but just make sure that you're taking into account and at least considering all of the small gaps of time that maybe you're totally discrediting as not possibilities. The next piece of advice is to theme your time and create structure for yourself. I honestly feel like it's a lot easier to have structure when you are working something like a 9 to 5 because it's carving out hours for you. There's already sort of a structure built into your week. I know I have to be at this place at this time. It's very contained and restricted, and then you know that you have to work around those hours. So it honestly can be helpful once you've established what chunks of time you're going to be working in. And again, that's super personal. Maybe you really want to keep Saturdays to yourself. That's fine. Just know when you're going to get your work done. You can start assigning themes and tasks to specific days and times. And this whole idea of theming your days, theming maintaining your time is very, very popular amongst people who speak about productivity, because the thought process is that you don't want to be jumping in between a million different tasks in a chunk of time. You want to be focused on one thing so you can maximize your productivity and not get overwhelmed. And I think it's really easy when you think about it on a grand scale of, oh my God, I need to balance a social life and run this YouTube channel and work a 9 to 5. It's really easy to get into that state of overwhelm and feel like you have to be working on everything all at once and there's just like too much to get done. But when you really look at it, like, okay, Saturday morning, filming. That's all I've got to do Saturday morning. When you break it down like that and you assign one task for a chunk of time, whether that's a morning, an afternoon, or 2 hours in the middle of your work week, it becomes a lot less overwhelming and it allows you to actually get those tasks done in the time that you've assigned for it. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about is just some small things to maintain your sanity, because like I said, this can be very overwhelming and stressful, and it doesn't have to be, right? Because it is a beautiful, incredible, amazing, exciting thing that you've taken control of your life. If you're smart and healthy about it, you can make huge progress to your goals. You can make the most of the time you have without developing a stress-induced migraine, okay? So let's talk a little bit about that, how to maintain some mental sanity when following all of this advice. Simplify your workload as much as you can. There is not a direct correlation between how hard you're working and your results. There's a correlation between how smartly and strategically you're working and your results. So I think it's important to recognize that at this moment, you're not able to devote full-time hours to this side hustle. You don't have an extra 40 hours a week. And if you're working an extra 40 hours a week, I'm worried about you mentally. So please give yourself a break. So just recognize, acknowledge, hey, I'm not able to devote full-time hours to this side hustle right now. And try to sort of strip down your business idea or your goal to the most essential tasks that will get you the furthest. What's actually going to bring you progress, what you need to do to keep your business, website, YouTube channel running, and focus on those essential components. Throw everything else out the window. So for example, my YouTube channel, right? I know that the way that I'm gonna grow this YouTube channel is through making content, is through making videos. So those are the tasks that I'm focused on right now. The bare basics of what it takes to create a video. Filming, editing, thumbnails. And of course, I'm doing my very best on each of those elements, but there are other parts that go into being a YouTuber that I'm choosing not to focus on right now, because I need to be realistic about where my time is best spent at this stage of my progression. So I've gotten a couple emails from brands basically wanting to send me products in exchange for me mentioning those products in my videos, right? And even though brand collaborations is ultimately a very important part of being a YouTuber and something that I am interested in doing, I recognize that at this stage, I want to be focused on just creating content. Because my time is limited, because this is my side hustle right now, I'm not yet ready to tackle handling all of that. And maybe that'll change in the future if that becomes a bigger priority and it becomes how I'm gonna grow my brand, how I'm gonna grow my income. But for now, it's just not a focus, right? I'm also not focused on things like creating crazy high-tech graphics or redoing my banners and end screens, because I recognize that ultimately spending 5 hours on a cool graphic might be something that a full-time YouTuber could justify, but it's not something that I could justify as someone who's still side hustling and needs to be more strategic with my time. Like, that one cool graphic is not gonna actually help to grow my YouTube channel, but working on putting out a video will. So the point of this is to focus on the things that are actually going to help to grow and progress whatever project or business you're working on. Cut out the noise, cut out the tasks that probably aren't going to make much of a difference, or the tasks that you just want to do because it'll make your channel look prettier. All of the busy work type of tasks, try to cut out as much of that as you can and focus on the core of what's genuinely going to push you forward and help you grow. Basically, everything that's ultimately non-essential can maybe be pushed to the sidelines for now so that you can maintain a balance between your work and your side hustle without literally losing your mind and having no time to sleep, eat, or rest. And my last word of advice is really just for your mental sanity, and that is to not hyperfixate on results. Honestly, this tip is as much for me as anyone because I have a terrible, terrible habit obsessively checking my analytics. Yeah, it's become sort of my nervous tick on my phone. Instead of opening Instagram, I'm opening YouTube Studio to see how many views I got in the last 60 minutes. And it's really not mentally healthy for me. And I think just in general, when you are striving for something that's probably more of a long-term goal and something that's going to come to fruition years in the future, it's important that you don't hyperfixate on the results, because it's really easy to get caught up in envisioning this future you, envisioning this future life for yourself, and being so obsessive about getting there that you forget to be present in the process and to just like enjoy the journey of getting there, instead of sort of wallowing in frustration that you're not there yet and desperately trying to get there. You don't want to be trying to force success, because it's never gonna work. Getting caught up on success and metrics, obsessively refreshing your YouTube Studio is not gonna bring you any closer to becoming the YouTuber you wanna be or to achieving whatever goal it is that you're after. If anything, it's going to really hinder you, because it's keeping you away from the actions that will actually help you get there. So when I'm wasting a bunch of time checking my YouTube analytics, that's time I could be spending editing a video that could potentially really help me grow. Not to mention that this super frustrated, angry mentality is just a very bad headspace to be in, especially if you believe in like manifestation and all that. It is just the worst thing you could do when you're trying to bring in success, is to send out those horrible, frustrated, angry, like entitled vibes. Like, cut that shit out. You gotta maintain a positive attitude about it. And when you're not seeing those results, instead of constantly obsessing over it, channel that desire to succeed. Put your head down and keep working on your hustle. Keep making videos, keep putting out new products on your store, whatever it is, rather than wallowing in disappointment and pain. Yeah. All right, that is it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I had so much fun making this. I always love talking about subjects like this. So if you have any more requests for videos in this self-development / work / productivity kind of realm, definitely let me know, because I would love to talk about this stuff more. Oh my God, am I losing my voice? That's how you know you've been filming too long. Don't forget to like this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should fucking subscribe. I can't believe how close we're getting to 1,000 subscribers. It's literally making me sweat. I hope you guys have the most amazing day and enjoyed hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys, love you.
Yeah, his baby said that they don't got a future like it burns. So give him something worse to kill his head with, make him forget somehow. Might be that another day she would have wished he stayed, but they're done.